PAP is good. There, I said it. The question is, what is it good at? And the honest answer is that it is good at PR and spin. And here's what I mean. In 2021, Deputy Prime Minister Heng Swee Keat announced that the government would raise petrol duty by 23%. Why? Because the government wanted to change behavior of drivers in order to protect the environment. He said, just like how we have made deliberate decisions to protect our environment, we want people to make conscious choices about how to drive, how much to drive. Really? If the government is so concerned about protecting the environment, why is it clearing forest after forest to build more and more BTO flats to cater for an expanding population fueled by foreigners? It is this kind of PAP speak that increasingly makes Singaporeans distrust the government. And then when it increased the GST to 9%, Chee said that the hike demonstrated the PAP's care for present and future generations. Well, he forgets that nearly 50% of Singaporeans feel that they can never achieve financial freedom. In 2017, the PAP increased water prices by 30% because, as Mr. Masago says, Singaporeans must feel the price of water, realize how valuable water is in Singapore. I'd like to ask, how many ministers have swimming pools in their backyards? The spin, the hypocrisy is unbelievable. But how does it get away with it? One way is by controlling the media. By ruling the airwaves and printing presses, journalists then not ask the government tough and necessary questions. And listen to what Bertha Hansen, former editor of the Straits Times, said.
But if I say, okay, good, but there's another narrative. What about, housing prices? What about, COE? But if the media keeps using only the narrative set by government and misses what is the narrative set by the people, wow, you are going to be in big trouble.
Not only do they not question the government, they shy away from reporting anything positive about the opposition. Ex-Straits Times journalist Eliza Teo wrote in her Facebook that reporters were not allowed to report on good opposition candidates or highlight anything good about them. Prime Minister Lawrence Wong says he wants to reset policy. If he is sincere about it and not spewing more rhetoric, may I suggest that he amends the Newspaper Printing and Presses Act and allow a free media to flourish in Singapore, one that is fair to the PAP and opposition parties. Now, this is why the PAP goes to such great lengths to buttress its control of the media. In 2022, it gave the Singapore Press Holdings, which has been losing money from its media arm, $900 million. Not a bad deal, if you ask me, using our tax money to control our minds. Now, through the half a century of media control, Singaporeans have been lulled into accepting that the PAP is competent and that it takes care of everything. We become unthinking citizens, complacently ignorant about what goes on within the government, until, that is, the bottom falls out and reality hits. Here's a good example. Some of you may remember the shocking incident in 2013 when foreign workers rioted in Little India. 54 officers and 8 civilians were injured. 29 vehicles were damaged, 5 of which were set on fire. A committee of inquiry, or COI, was convened where it transpired, among other things, that communication lines were jammed, the officer in charge had no clue how many men he had with him, and get this, those present were not trained or equipped to handle such a situation. This was the reality. The COI stated plainly that the police response was not acceptable. But a few years earlier, the MediaCorp had fantasized in a TV program called Crime Watch that tough, disciplined, and highly skilled and backed by the latest equipment, police officers are a formidable force to be reckoned with. They can be relied upon to deal with even the most violent riots which threaten lives and property. This is the danger when the media is used as a propaganda tool rather than a channel for questioning and analysis and keeping the people informed. Here's another example. Years ago, experts and financial analysts had warned that Singapore's casinos would attract illegal money from China and Indonesia. The US State Department pointed out that the change in the financial system in Singapore provided opportunities for money launderers to conduct a wide range of illicit transactions. But Law Minister K. Shanmugam bragged that we do not see ourselves as a haven for laundered money. We play an active role in the global fight against financial crimes. MAS chimed in. To protect the integrity of our financial system, our laws are rigorously enforced. All this fight and rigorously enforced laws only led to the revelation years later that Singapore washing is just a new iteration of an old problem. The city was once referred to as Indonesia's money laundromat. In recent months, there's been yet more rhetorical flourish from our new Prime Minister. We will always have your back, or your dreams will inspire my actions, or we will help you get through the difficult period, Mr. Wong gushed. Meanwhile, there was a 25% increase in bankruptcies in the first half of 2024. Nearly 2,500 F&B businesses closed down in 2024, a rate higher than that in the pandemic year 2020. A shocking 1/3 of younger Singaporeans reported poor mental health. Our population surged past the 6 million mark due to the influx of foreigners, while our total fertility rate registered a historic low of 0.97 births in 2023. What I'm desperately trying to get across to Singaporeans is this. Don't get seduced by the bombast and rhetorical mumbo-jumbo of the PAP. Instead, do the intelligent thing by putting a solid, responsible opposition in Parliament at the next GE. In the next few months, the PAP will run its usual trope and scare tactics. Mr. Lee Hsien Loong said,
If electoral margins get slimmer, the government will have less political space to do the right thing.
This is a variation of his confession that
what is the opposition's job? It's not to help the PAP do a better job. Their job is to make life miserable for me so that I screw up.
the truth is that despite the meager opposition presence in Parliament during his 20 years in office, Mr. Lee's administration, as I listed in my previous video, has produced so many scandals and screw-ups. You don't need an opposition presence in Parliament to trip him up. The PAP is perfectly capable of doing this all by itself. On the other hand, Singapore has benefited from the PAP's adoption of the SDP's ideas, like abolishing streaming, introducing universal healthcare, implementing retrenchment insurance, and so on. The converse is actually true. Singapore will be better off with a strong and constructive opposition in Parliament. I guarantee you that the quality of governance will improve with more opposition, with constructive and compassionate parties like the SDP in Parliament. But of course, you will not see this expressed in our state media. And this is why I keep asking Singaporeans to share my videos and to actively spread the SDP's message. This is the only way to overcome the PAP stranglehold on the media.